What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football, Houston Texans football. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different today, especially with all the news going around about who the Texans need to bring in for an interview, who they brought in the interview. Hey, don't bring this person in. Definitely interview that person. Call that person. I want that person in here. No, I want that person. No one in my organization. So we're going to talk about what should be the outlook. What should we look forward to for the 2020-21 offseason? And I'm just talking about general managers. I'm talking about head coaching hires. I'm talking about staff, coaching, people on the coaching staff. We're talking about free agency. We're talking about draft picks. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to talk about what's the best possible situation for the Houston Texans moving forward for the 2020-21 offseason. Now, as you know, that the Houston Texans have brought in Louis Riddick. They brought Louis Riddick in, guy off of ESPN. They brought him in to interview for the general manager job. Very smart guy. Guy he worked in the front office for the Washington Redskins. He also worked in the front office for the Philadelphia Eagles all the way back since 2013, and he's been on TV since then. Like I said, you see him on First Take, you see him on Get Up, you see him on NFL Live, you see him on SportsCenter. Very, 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 very smart guy. Very, very smart guy. Has a lot of ties, a lot of pull, a lot of different connections to a lot of different owners and other general managers and other scouts and other agents and things like that. Just a very well connected guy. Like I said, very intelligent. Part of his problem though. Now he former played in the NFL. I think he played 10 years in the NFL. He was a safety. I know a lot of people talk about like how he was very high on Tom Savage, but that's not the concerning part. A problem for me is that he was extremely high on Kevin Johnson. He even said Kevin Johnson was the best corner in that draft. And that draft also had Marcus Peters in it. Now again, don't want to don't want to just hold him off of one bad idea, one bad evaluation, because everybody's gonna have a bad evaluation. Every cornerback is gonna drop an interception. Every receiver gonna drop a pass. Every running back gonna fumble. Every quarterback gonna throw an interception. Every coach gonna call a bad play and things like that. Every general manager is gonna draft somebody that's not good, or sign somebody that's not worth their contract. That just happens. It's life. But so you can't just really do, that's the only reason. I don't want him nowhere near my team because he was very high on Kevin Johnson. Now, I wasn't high on Kevin Johnson. Even dating back to that draft, I wasn't high on Kevin Johnson. I thought he was okay, but I damn sure never thought he was a number one overall corner. He was the best corner on the team type guy. I never thought he could be the best corner on the team. Never seen it in him. So, but other than that, a lot of the things he talks about, not dealing with the Texans or dealing with the Texans, have been very spot on. He's like I said, he's a very, very smart guy. They also talk about bringing in the guy. I forgot his name. I think it's Thomas something. Would start with D. Former general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. He worked in the Patriots personnel. He was a head scout for the Patriots back in the early 2000s when they won their first Super Bowls. But he's been a general manager since 2008. So he's been away from the Patriots long enough and has his own identity. He's not a Patriot guy. But and like he built a very good roster with the Atlanta Falcons. A very good roster. I mean, the team that constantly, he drafted Matt Ryan, team that's constantly going to NFC Championship games and going to the playoffs and winning the division and things like that. He even made a Super Bowl appearance. His problem though is that he never got the head coaching hire right. That's problematic because he had several tries and never got the head coaching hire right. And that's something that you damn sure got to get right here. You have to get that head coaching hire perfect right here in Houston. You have to get that. That's probably one of our biggest Achilles heels is we don't have a good head coach. So you got to get that coaching hire right, and that right there shows that maybe he's not the right guy and not the right fit. Another guy they're talking about bringing in is John Dorsey, who I absolutely am a huge fan of. Like, John Dorsey was my number one going into the offseason. Before they gave Bill O'Brien the head coach, before they gave Bill O'Brien the general manager job, he was my number one. You know why? Who's the best team in the NFL right now? And the Kansas City Chiefs. He built that team. All the main parts. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. He even drafted Kareem Hunt. He all the main parts of the Kansas City Chiefs team that won the Super Bowl and is the best team, the best offense in the NFL right now. He put that together. And if you need more, who's a hot football team right now? Ain't the Cleveland Browns? He put that team together. He drafted Baker Mayfield. He traded for Jarvis Landry. He traded for Odell Beckham. He drafted Nick Chubb. Then brought in Kareem Hunt after Kareem Hunt got in trouble. He brought him back, so he has no qualms about bringing somebody that has anything on their record. Now, he didn't draft Myles Garrett because I think that was Sashi Brown, but he also drafted Denzel Ward. His problem, the reason why he's no longer the general manager in Cleveland, It's because he hired Freddie Kitchens. He listened to Baker Mayfield and decided to hire Freddie Kitchens to be the head coach, which was a bad decision. And once again, you have to, here in Houston, you have to get that coaching hire right. And that is a red flag. From a personnel standpoint, he's absolutely money. But he made a mistake in hiring a head coach. Now, he only had one crack at it, and he made the mistake. He made the one mistake with one crack at it. Now, the guy from the Falcons has had a couple chances and made a couple of bad moves. So I'm willing to give John Dorsey another chance. But listen to what I said. I said he was my number one. Was past tense means he's no longer my number one, because I think the person that's the absolute best for this job, the absolute best person for this job, is Gregory Jones. That's point blank period. Former player of the Houston Texans. He's out here in the city of Houston advocating, wanting the job, campaigning for the job like he a politician. He's a man of the people. He knows what it takes to bring a championship here. He is starving for a championship. You could just, when you talk to him, I did an interview with him about a month ago on this channel. If you haven't, go check it out. Go check it out, and that's gonna let you know all that you need to know. I ain't gonna give away all the game plan, because the boy got a game plan that's out of this world. Not only to build a championship, but to make this organization one of the top organizations, not just in the NFL, but in sports, period. In sports, period. You're not getting that nowhere else. You are not getting that nowhere else. You're not getting it nowhere else. He's a former player. Like I said, played with the team. He knows his team inside out. He knows all the history. He don't have to go in and do any research. Okay, man, the Brock Osweiler this, David Carter that, Matt Schaub this. He ain't got to do all that. He ain't got to do all that. He knows the history of this organization inside out. And he knows how to fix it. And he's going to do what I believe is the number one thing that you have to do. The number one thing you have to do, whoever gets the job. And that is to do whatever it takes. In the best every decision that you make going forward has to be in the best interest of number 4. And he's on that page. He's on that page that whatever he does has to be. But when he does everything, if it's the simple thing as, hey, do I need to change the color of the limo that we riding today? Is this in the best interest of number 4? Before I make any decision of what hotel we staying at, is this in the best interest of number 4? And that's exactly what he has to do. And I believe that's exactly what he would do. That's why I think he's hands down the number one guy. Guy who has connections. He has connections with agents because he's a former player. He has connections with all other type of general managers because of people he's played with. All type of coaches because of people he's coached with. He has a connection. He has a connection throughout this. He has a connection throughout this whole world. And he doesn't rub anybody the wrong way. So I believe that he's going to get the best out of everything he gets. And I think he's going to have a relationship with a general manager, able to make certain moves, because you're going to have to make certain moves. You're going to make certain trades. You're going to make certain free agent signs and things like that. And you need relationships. And I believe that he has that. Now, the next thing you have to do, you have to get his head coaching hire right. Now, I know a lot of people hire on Eric Bieniemy. Now, a lot of people also hire on Robert Saleh. You hear the name Dayball, the guy from Buffalo. Arthur Smith out of Tennessee. You already know my number one guy. My number one guy is Lincoln Riley. I think that it's just proof is in the pudding. I've said this numerous times. What he's done with quarterbacks going after you see Jalen Hurts out there right now after the starter. Did anybody think that Jalen Hurts is going to be a starter for a quarterback 2 years ago? No, not until Lincoln Riley elevated him to that. Same thing with both Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. Anybody think that either one of those guys is going to be number one overall picks, let alone Heisman Trophy winners? No, he didn't. Former quarterback. Came in the air raid system under Mike Leach. He's been the head coach out there in Oklahoma. And it's just to do an even better assessment. Look at what Cliff Kingsbury is doing in Arizona right now with Kyler Murray. You don't think that Lincoln Riley can do the exact same thing with the weapons that we have here in Houston with Deshaun Watson? Because yes, I do believe the Texans need to re-sign Will Fuller as well, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But it's the same thing. It's going to be better because you have a better quarterback, and I actually believe that Lincoln Riley is a better coach than Cliff Kingsbury. He also was Cliff Kingsbury's backup at Texas Tech back in the early 2000s. So even though that's my number one, and there's a strong chance that he probably doesn't want to come to the NFL, and I get that. Or maybe even if Dallas goes out and tries to go get him again, whatever the case may be, there's a possibility that Lincoln Riley doesn't even want the job. But the person I believe that they should go after also is Byron Leftwich. Another guy who's a former quarterback. He sees things on a different level because he played the position. He played the position on this level. Played in a playoff game. Won a playoff game, if I'm not mistaken, on this level. They never won a Super Bowl on this level. but he has played on this level and he knows exactly what it is. It's one thing when a coach, an offensive-minded head coach, or offensive coordinator is telling you a play and telling you what you should do when the safety do this and do this and do that. But it's another thing to actually been on that field with those flying live bullets happening, and you seeing that safety dip off in the coverage and play show man end up playing zone. You see when that linebacker showed the blitz but then play and then backed off and dipped off in the coverage. You seen when the defense end come crashing down and the offensive lineman missed the block and what you gotta do. He's seen that. He's seen that firsthand. So because of that, he knows exactly what to do, and him and Deshaun Watson will have a better relationship, and they will see things on a different scale because they both play the position, and he knows exactly what Deshaun is thinking when this happens, when this breaks down. Deshaun knows exactly where he's coming from when he says, no, bro, you got to do it like this. It's not just a teacher telling you what to do. I've been here. I lived this. I experienced this. I know what happened when this linebacker did this right here. So this is what you need to do. You got more athletic ability than I do, so you're able to do this better. He's like, okay, bro, I get you. I understand. So that's why I think that he's a perfect situation as well. And that's why he's a strong number 2. I think Lincoln Riley, because we've done with quarterbacks and the way this offense is constructed, I believe that's why Lincoln Riley is the number 1. But no one's going to devise a game plan better than Byron Leftwich, and that's including Lincoln Riley. No one is going to devise a game plan that's better suited for Deshaun Watson than Byron Leftwich, in my personal opinion. And yes, I do believe the Texans need to hire an offensive-minded head coach. I know a lot of people out there hire on Solid, and I think Solid might be a good head coach. But Deshaun Watson is at the infancy of his development. He's only in year 4, and he's been with a quote-unquote supposed to be offensive-minded head coach and Bill O'Brien, who basically had him under handcuffs for the first 4 years of his career. So he needs to get rid of that whole Bill O'Brien system. He needs to get rid of all that, and he needs to develop more. Because now, if Deshaun Watson was a 7, 6, 7, 8 year vet, and we knew exactly what Deshaun Watson was, then you could bring in a defensive-minded head coach. But you need somebody who's going to cater to Deshaun Watson, and like I said, do whatever it is in the best interest of number 4. Because look, if you hire a defensive-minded head coach, and he hires a nice, good offensive coordinator, and we expect Deshaun Watson to do what Deshaun Watson does, in another 2 years, that offensive coordinator is going to get head coaching looks. It's going to leave and become a head coach. And what does that defensive coordinator got to do? What does that head coach got to do? He got to find a brand new offensive coordinator, which might end up changing the offensive system. And now you're talking about Deshaun Watson year 7, year 8, with his 3rd and 4th offensive coordinator, his 3rd and 4th offensive system. Now, if you give him an offensive-minded head coach, even if said offensive coordinator that he puts in place gets a head coaching job, that offensive-minded head coach philosophy is still the same. So it might be a different coordinator, but the philosophy and the plays and everything is pretty much the same. Deshaun's not different. The system hasn't changed. The structure of the system is the exact same. So nothing changes outside just the person who's calling the plays. So that's the reason why I believe that Deshaun Watson needs an offensive-minded head coach. Now, you can say whatever you want to, but that's what I believe. I know a lot of people say that Louis Riddick is tied to Brian Daboll. I think he's also tied to Robert Saleh. Trust me when I tell you, if the Houston Texans hire Louis Riddick, he will hire Eric Bieniemy as the head coach. Let me reiterate. If the Houston Texans hire Louis Riddick, he will hire Eric Bieniemy as the head coach. I know this for a fact. Trust me. The only way that Airbnb won't be the head coach, if Louis Riddick is hired, the only way that he won't hire Airbnb is if Airbnb turns down the job. Trust me when I say this. Now, whoever they hire as a head coach, when they talk about coaching staff, the first thing they need to do is they get a brand new offensive lineman head coach. Brand new offensive line coach. And I believe that they should go out there and go get Bruce Matthews, who's a former Houston Oiler. Also coached for the Houston Texans under Gary Kubiak. When Gary Kubiak was the head coach, he was an offensive lineman assistant, offensive line coach. Back in the early, back in 2010, 2011, up until when Mike Munchak became the head coach of Tennessee. That's when he left. Or go out there and get Mike Munchak, who's another former Oiler. He played his whole career in Houston. Now, even though he's been with the Tennessee Titans in that organization, but when he retired from playing, I think he was a center. When Mike Munchak retired, Mike Munchak was a Houston Oilers. The Oilers were still in Houston. So he played his whole career in Houston. Bruce Matthews played majority of his career in Houston and also coached in Houston. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mike Munchak is the offensive line coach of the Denver Broncos right now. And I think that Vic Fangio more than likely is going to get let go. So I think you'll be able to bring in Mike Munchak. And the perfect scenario is if you hire Mike Munchak and Mike Munchak brings in Bruce Matthews to be his offensive lineman assistant. And you have two Hall of Fame offensive linemen who played in the city, who played in the run and shoot era, who blocked and protected Warren Moon, come out here and coach this offensive line to protect Deshaun Watson. You can't sit up and tell me they won't have flashbacks. Come on, man. Quit playing. Quit playing. On the defensive side, same thing. Go out there and get Rex Ryan. Remember, Rex Ryan's dad, Buddy Ryan, was the defensive coordinator for the Oilers, I think in 92, 91, 92, something like that. Rex Ryan has been on record talking about how he wants to coach his defense, how he wants to coach his team. Now, don't bring him in nowhere near to be the head guy. No. But as a defensive-minded head coach, yes. As a defensive-minded coach, a defensive coordinator, yes. You bring him in to be your DC, absolutely bring in Rex Ryan to coach the defense. Now, you are going to have to get some pieces, and we're going to talk about this, exactly what they should do via free agency and also the draft. Now, because of the situation, salary cap and things like that, like I said, I do believe the Texans need to bring in Will Fuller, quit playing. I understand everything that went on with the whole injury situation and also the PED suspension and all that type of stuff. Deshaun Watson wants Will Fuller. I think you should bring back Will Fuller. You need to bring back somebody he trusts. That somebody he trusts, bring back Will Fuller that helps elevate his game. Quit playing. There's really no need to talk about. I'm not even going to discuss the reason why. Just quit playing. Bring back Will Fuller. I don't give a damn. Bring him back. Quit playing. Now, the biggest situation on this team, as far as personnel, is I feel the corners and the running back situation. I think it's easy to fix the defense and the corners via free agency and his running back, because I'm not into bringing and putting in a lot of money to the offense, and also especially running back. Running backs come a dime a dozen. You can get running back undrafted free agents. You see what the guy doing in Jacksonville. You see what we've done with Aaron Foster in years past. You can draft a running back in the low rounds as well, even if you don't have to wait to undrafted free agency. So I believe you go out there and you don't have to spend money for a running back. Now I do think that Leonard Fournette is available. I think Leonard Fournette is going to be a free agent. And if you can bring him in for a cheap price, I have nothing wrong with that. But you damn sure got to get rid of David Johnson. You got to get rid of him. There's no way. You have to get rid of David Johnson. So if you can bring in Will Fuller, I'm not Will Fuller. I mean, if you can bring in Leonard Fournette for a cheap price, I'm not opposed to that. But I just don't think that you'll be able to fix the running back situation via free agency or via the draft. Especially there's a running back, Trey Sermon. Used to play for Oklahoma. As soon as he transferred to Oklahoma State, I think he's transferred to Ohio State. I think he's the perfect running back for Deshaun Watson. He reminds me kind of Shady McCoy. He kind of reminds me of that type of ilk. So I think he's a perfect running back for Deshaun Watson. I think you'll be able to get him in the later rounds. But you can worry about running back later. You need to fix the secondary. Now the problem with that is that the guys who are available in this year's secondary is pretty much kind of like what guys you got now. I know William Jackson out of Cincinnati, a guy who's a former U of H Cougar. He's from the city of Houston. I think he's going to be available. You got people, I know I was real high on Desmond Mccain, but since the Chargers traded Desmond Mccain to the Titans, and I believe the Titans are going to be able to give him a contract because they can make some moves and re-sign him, it's going to be hard to bring him in. You have somebody like Jason Verrett, who's very, very talented, former Charger. Also, he plays for the 49ers right now. Very, very talented, but he's like Will Fuller. He's always missing time. But when he plays, he's damn good. I mean, a lot of the other guys you got, Xavier Rhodes is going to be a free agent. You got Patrick Peterson. You got Richard Sherman. Those guys are going to be there. But to be honest, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Both Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Xavier Rhodes are just that. They names. That's exactly what they are to me. They are names. Especially in this day, especially you talking about bringing these guys in to be your number one corner. And actually, I think Patrick Peterson is probably the best of the bunch. And I believe that he's probably going to stay in Arizona because Arizona's good right now. And I believe they'd be able to offer him a contract. He'd probably finish his career in Arizona. But the rest, Richard Sherman's coming off of another. Didn't he have an ace? He had a torn Achilles last year or 2 years ago. He's coming off injuries. I'm not nothing against Richard Sherman, but if you had somebody else here, and we don't even know exactly what's gonna happen with Roby, if we're gonna keep Roby or not. If you had somebody, whoever you bring in, you're probably bringing them in to be your number one corner. And I just don't see at this stage of the career Xavier Rhodes or Patrick Peterson or or a Richard Sherman being the number one corner, especially the way y'all gonna have to pay him. Like, you ain't gonna be able to get these guys on no bare minimum now. Like, you gonna have to pay these guys some money. Y'all gonna be highly disappointed. I'm just being real with you. I like the names, but to me, at this point in 2021, they are just names. This ain't Madden where you just plug people in. It's not a game. It's not a game. Now via the draft, it's a cornerback out of Michigan. I like that you can get later on in the draft. His name R.B. Thomas out of Michigan. He's a very decent option. There's some receivers also you can get in the draft, because even though I think you should re-sign Will Fuller, you should keep bringing the Cooks, you still need a go-getter. You need somebody who can jump up and get them 50-50 balls, and that's something that Deshaun Watson loves. Deshaun Watson loves to throw up them 50-50 balls. There's a guy out of Michigan, Nico Hardeman, Chamarion Terry out of Florida State. He reminds me kind of a Mike Evans type. That's his ceiling. I think he could be a Mike Evans type. Nico Collins, I think he could be kind of like a Braylon Edwards type, another former Michigan guy. Used to play for the Browns, and also used to play for the Jets, which would be the perfect situation here when you have a Will Fuller and you have a Brandon Cooks, a guy you can jump up in the end zone. I know a lot of people might want them to go after Allen Robinson, but I don't think they'll be able to afford Allen Robinson. I think that's kind of I wouldn't mind Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson would be making some sick catches, but I think it'd be kind of hard to afford Allen Robinson, especially with the salary cap situation. Maybe even the Mike Williams. I don't know if Mike Williams would be available. I can see the Chargers, because the Chargers, from what I've heard from the Chargers, they're kind of disappointed. It's like they have a love-hate relationship with Mike Williams. And I know Deshaun would love to bring in a former Clemson guy, his number one target at Clemson, into the fold. And especially here, again, he probably would be a number one here, especially playing with Deshaun Watson. But I don't know if you'll be able to bring him in, because I don't know exactly what the Chargers will ask. I don't think the Chargers will ask for a king's ransom, but I don't think the Chargers will let him go very cheap, because they have a good quarterback situation going on with Justin Herbert and the noise he's putting up. But then he's also showing you, because he did damn good last night. He didn't even really need Mike Williams. So you just got, it's really up in the air. And it all depends on who's the general manager. Who do you guys bring in? Like I say, my number one pick is Gregory Jones. I think he's the absolute best fit. I think that he's going to be able to make the right moves once he gets in place. I think he's going to be able to make the right help. He's going to make the right head coaching hire, and that head coach, everything's going to trickle on down, because you make the right general manager hire. They're going to make the right head coach hire. That head coach is going to hire the right and correct staff, and then that said general manager is going to make the right cuts, to able to shave off some of this contract, shave off some of this fat guy, get some of the salary cap off, make the right free agent moves, and then turn around and make the right draft picks. Is he going to bot some? Is he going to mess up and draft the wrong person? He should draft this person and draft a bust? Yeah. Is he going to give somebody a contract who really doesn't deserve a contract, or somebody's not going to live up to the contract that they get? Yes. That's what's going to happen. It's called life. Like, there's life in the NFL. Nobody bats 1,000. No general manager bats 1,000. No head coach bats 1,000. No quarterback throws for 1,000. It is what it is. Nobody bats 1,000 when it comes to this type of stuff. These are things that are, yes, mistakes are going to be made along the way. But I really don't think that the 2021 offseason is going to be the offseason that said general manager is going to get judged. It's more so going to be the 2021 and the 2022 when he gets a full offseason, when he gets a full draft with the first and the second round pick. Remember, he's not going to be able to pick until the middle of the third round. The first time he's going to get to show up to the draft party, you're going to be halfway done with the third round, so people are going to get the chance to pick over you twice and a half. So come on, man. But you have to get the right general manager hired first. And this whole thing with Corn Ferry talking about hiring Schottenheimer, it's the Houston Texans. I'm not even going, because I don't believe that Schottenheimer is actually even the real thought, because any of the general managers that I think that they will hire, the guys I just named, I don't think none of them, maybe except that Falcon coach. That Falcon general manager. I don't know. He ain't good with the coaching hires. But I don't think Louis Riddick, I don't think John Dorsey, not damn sure no Gregory Jones, they not about to hire no Schottenheimer. I can guarantee they ain't about to hire Schottenheimer. they not about to do that. They'll bring back Kubiak before they do that. So I do believe wherever decision gets made first is the most important, and that's the general manager, and everything else will fall in effect, and everything else will fall in line. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. Holla.